All right, hi everyone. I think I'll get started now. Welcome to our Hero Highlight Hardship event with Coach Marshall Cho. I'm Alicia Li, one of the Oswego High School Asian American Student Union leaders. And I'm one of the leaders along with Deeya Arora.
Hi.
And Kyla Zhang.
Hi.
And Olivia Chi.
Hi.
Like I said, we're the Oswego High School Asian American Student Union, and we were a club that started in fall of this school year. We decided that we wanted something where all Asian Americans in our community and our school community could get together and have a place with other people with similar backgrounds. So we decided to start this club, and we try to have speaker events like these, which are like conversations with Coach Cho. This is our second event with Coach Cho. We also had like Divers Sensei showing us how to make some Japanese food and talking about her experience coming from Japan too. So we've had a few events so far, and we're really excited for our conversation today with Coach Cho. And without further ado, we'll pass it on to Coach Cho.
All right, thanks so much, Alicia. It's good to be here with you all. It was kind of even a little bit disorienting. I don't know how you guys were all feeling just to hear the elevator music that's upbeat and just kind of waiting for this moment. But given though that the week that we had, and, I'm really looking forward to the space to give our 4 courageous leaders of this group their space to be heard today and to lead this conversation and to be seen, really. And, Alicia and I were joking around even that she went ahead and made this flyer ahead of time and plastered the same face over it like last time. And even as we're, prepping, there's a cardboard cutout of me back there. I don't know if you guys can see. And it's something that, I don't know how many of you coming from your cultural backgrounds feel, but as Asian Americans, we have been taught growing up to keep our head down, to not speak out of turn, to be a part of a collective. And so to step out of our comfort zone today and talk about this and bring to the forefront the stuff that we've been experiencing this week, the trauma that we experienced, the heartbreak and all of that. But at the same time, I wanted to stick with the original plan that Alicia and I came up with for myself to share an exercise that we do in our basketball program. Really, I'm not an expert in leading a conversation like this. I just happen to be another adult and a parent in our community who happens to have an Asian American heritage, ethnic heritage. And so I wanted to share with you guys what I'm good at, which is, building culture in our basketball program and making sure that our student athletes on our boys' side are seen and heard for who they are and where they come from. And this is an exercise that we do early on in the year called Hero, Highlight, and Hardship. And again, given the week we've had, I think there's hardship is where we want to start to go first. But I was telling these 4 young ladies as we were prepping that the horrible act that this person on Monday and the things that we have been seeing leading up to what we saw on Monday shouldn't take away from us having the conversation, talking about the heroes that are in our lives, the heroes who are mothers and fathers who actually, that's where the trauma comes, because those are the people who are being, attacked, and we are seeing it on media. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to take a turn for these 4 ladies to share. They're going to take some time to talk about their hero and highlight that's something that they've been experiencing recently. And hopefully the hardship that they share that will spur onto a conversation, maybe spur some of you other students in the space that maybe you connect to, you relate to, and that you want to speak on. Okay, so with all that said, I want to step into the background now, and maybe we can start with one of the ladies. Kyla, why don't we kick it off with you? Okay, so why don't we put you on first, and why don't you share with the rest of us who your hero, what your highlight, and what your hardship is today.
Hey everyone, so my name is Kyla, and so my hero, I would say, is my dad. He has sacrificed so much for my brother and I, from coming to America and just starting a new life here. And he has also taught me so many life lessons from all the experiences he's lived before. And so moving on to my highlight, uh, just being able to play sports and enjoy something outside of my house and like something not on a screen. And it's really comforting to just to talk to people and make new relationships. And moving on to my hardship, I've always struggled a lot with just self-confidence in myself and just knowing my self-worth, because there's a lot of times where I've struggled with just doubting myself many times and not speaking up because I feel like I shouldn't, or like I don't need to. And this kind of, I come to realize I'm kind of falling into this model minority trap where I feel like I shouldn't be asking for help, where like I'm being scared. I mean, I'm scared of being wrong, or scared of asking for help, or scared that I'm not enough. So yeah, that's something I've been going through every day.
Kyla, thank you so much for sharing that. As I was taking the notes, your hero part with your dad was just really quick. Your highlight part, I had 3 bullet points on that, and it's humbling to know that the bullet point that you brought up with hardship, there's 5 bullet points here, so that it feels like the scale is tipped in a certain direction, obviously, but just to make, and we want to come back to your hardship piece, but just to even out the scale a little bit, can you tell us a little bit more about your dad, his name, where he was born and raised, when he came to the States? Can you share with us a little bit about him?
Yeah, so he was born in Sichuan, China, which is like mid-southern China. And he grew up really poor. And like they had, like he grew up really hungry. He would always talk about that. And he had 3 sisters, and he was the youngest. And he just went through a lot. And whenever I ask him, he's always like hesitant and really, really serious about those topics. And he came to America, I think right after he graduated college, I would say mid 90s, and or like late 90s. And he came here first to Detroit to study his like get his graduate degree, and then he moved here with my mom, and my mom also went through a lot. And they, after getting their graduate degree and working a bit in Detroit, like they both moved to here, Oregon. And from then on, like they just started a family here, and I was just born and raised in Oregon. So yeah.
What is one thing that your dad does that makes you laugh or smile?
Just every day he would always just make funny jokes, and jokes that sometimes
Dad jokes?
yeah, sometimes, and just jokes
Okay.
that like sometimes just doesn't really make any sense, but I like get it because I don't know, it's just everyday things that are so funny. And but like I know that to other people they might not even understand. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I look forward to getting to meet your dad at some point, and hopefully I can take some notes where I can raise a daughter that turned out to be like you with Emma. She's 8 years old and she's behind you coming up. but I'll have to take some dad joke and dad daughter raising notes from him. His name again?
His name is Kyla Zhang.
Okay. So Kyla and Kai. Okay. All right. Thank you, Kyla. Who's next? Deeya, are we ready? Are we doing this?
Yep.
Okay, let's go. You're on.
Hi, my name is Deeya, and my hero, just like Kyla, similar, is my mom, because she immigrated from India and left her practice so that I could have a better education and like better life experience. And my highlight would probably be being able to be in like an inclusive school and like an inclusive environment at swimming, and like just an inclusive environment around LO. And one hardship I face is the academic pressure I put on myself. And I like get upset when I don't reach certain standards and like force myself to like be at this one level, just like the model minority myth that I should like be at this one level. But one thing like I enjoy with that pressure is like seeing my accomplishments if I like reach certain levels.
Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Deeya. I'm going to ask, same thing I asked Kyla, which, I think a lot of this is, we want to see not just you guys, but I think you are a product of your parents and all their sacrifice. So, and I think I'm guessing there's some parents who are even tuned in today. And I don't know where your mom is today, but hopefully we're recording and she'll get a chance to see and know that in a public setting, that you are claiming your mom to be your hero. So we want to see her more. What is her name? Same thing, I guess, with Mr. Zhang. What is her full name? Where did she grow up? Tell us a little bit more about her.
Okay. My mom's name is Dimple Arora, and she was.
Can you spell that for us and say it one more time?
Dimple.
Okay. Okay.
And then my last name. And then she was born and raised in Delhi, India, like the capital. And from there, she like, after living in India and like studying medicine and stuff, she stayed 9 years in Russia to study for medical school. And like in Russia, she faced like a lot of hardships for like being Asian in Russia. And then she moved back to India and started her practice there, and then immigrated in the early 2000s to the US.
How did your parents meet?
My mom met my dad at the hospital.
Hospital? What do you?
Yeah.
Oh, at where she was working.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Okay. I don't know much about swimming. My siblings swam, and their swimming practice schedules were insane. I'm not a morning person. I just couldn't do the 5:30 a.m. practices. I love the pressure of being a basketball coach. I love the pressure of having been a player when I shoot, but there's something about like when you're actually getting ready to take off in your race. And you were talking about your academic pressures a little bit. Are there any two things that relate to that? How you handle pressure in the swim meet versus, how you handle the pressure of a test, or things that are overlapping for you being a student athlete here that that helps you cope maybe with all the pressures that you feel on the book end of things?
Well, yeah, I guess in like swimming before a race, like I always think to myself, like plan ahead of how I'm gonna like swim in the race. And like during the test, I guess I plan out how I'm gonna like how much long I'm gonna spend on like each question and like what I'm gonna focus on. And like during swimming, I always like wanna like take time off, just like in school, how I like wanna improve my grades on tests, I guess.
What's something that your mom did recently that made you smile, or just kind of even like shake your head and say, "There goes mom again"?
Well, she cooks a lot, and like a few days ago, she made like a ton of butter chicken, which is like one of my favorite foods. And yeah.
So I know where to go to get butter chicken hookups. We go to the Arora household, okay, in Lake Oswego. Okay. Deeya, thank you for sharing. Can't wait to get to know your mother and learn about her experience being an immigrant in Russia before coming to be an immigrant in the US. Thank you for sharing. All right. Olivia, where are you at?
I'm here.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, you're on. Let's do this.
Okay, cool. So my hero would also have to be like my dad. And it's kind of like the same story. Like he immigrated when he was, I think, 2, to the United States, and he like stayed in New York and like New Jersey, that area. And he really like just came from nothing. And like my grandpa, he had to like work really hard to like become a doctor here and just like work his way up like in society so that like he could become successful, and then like in turn my dad could become successful. So that's really cool to think about, and I really look up to my dad for that. And then my highlight, and then also kind of my hardship, they kind of go like hand in hand. My highlight would be like that my grandparents came from Colorado a couple days ago, which is really nice because I didn't get to see them like in over a year because like the coronavirus and everything. But it also like kind of plays into my hardship, like that now they're here, but it's always like the what if, like what could happen to them, like obviously like you see in the news like the hate crimes against like elderly like Asian people, and it's kind of like a out of sight like out of mind. Like when they're in Colorado, I kind of felt like since like that was like where they usually live, it's okay, like they'll be safe there. But like if like something happens while they're here, and like some, I don't know, like if they like get the coronavirus, or like if they do like get attacked, it would be really rough.
Okay. In the midst of those two things, is there a highlight for you? Recent highlight that you want to share with the group?
Well, just like that my grandparents are here right now, that I get to see them.
So that's all of it. Just grandma and grandpa are here.
Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tell us about your dad. What is his name? What's your grandpa's name? What's your dad's name? Where did your grandpa grow up? Are there similarities that you see in your grandpa with your dad that maybe you might even find in yourself?
So my dad's name is Willard, and my grandpa's name is
Willard.
Yeah.
That's like being a marshal. That's like not a
Yeah, it's not a common like name you get when
Okay, well, there you go. All right,
yeah.
Mr. Willard Chi.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, my grandpa's name is Gene, I think. And it's
You think?
Well, I don't know. I just call him Harabuji. Like that's kind of
Harabuji?
my
Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
And like after New York, he mainly like grew up in Kansas, which is a pretty white state. I don't know, a lot of like farm stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, and I guess some similarities that I see is that like my grandpa is very hardworking and a little bit stubborn, I guess. And I feel like my mom always talks about how my dad is like turning into my grandpa. Like there's a lot of similarities, just like like mini like mannerisms that go on. Yeah, and I think my mom kind of tells me that I'm a little stubborn sometimes too. I guess I get that from them.
Okay. Awesome. Are you involved in any extracurricular activities? So I know that a highlight for both Kyla and Deeya, was sports, right? Are there other extracurriculars other than this club that help you cope with, just the Zoom online school and everything that you've been going through?
Yeah, I do cheer. I'm on the cheer team.
That's right.
Yeah, and I think there's some other people on the cheer team here too, which is kind of cool.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's been really nice. We've been able to go to like in person, like actually indoors in the cafeteria practices.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good to just like get away from the screen and just hang out with like people that I enjoy being around.
That's right. And yeah, no, that's awesome. I'm our cheer squad. Shout out to the cheer squad at Lake Oswego High School. The basketball program is trying to keep up with our cheer program in terms of all the trophies that have been won. And when last year when our OSAA tournament was canceled on the day of. I think about when we have our success as a program, and that allows the cheer team and the dance team and our pep band and everybody else in our community to be out there celebrated. When our game was canceled, I felt not just for our own program, but for you guys, because it was a chance to perform and be in front of a large crowd and represent our community that way too. So hopefully next year, knock on wood, we're back and we're taking the whole crew. Okay. Thank you for sharing that, Olivia. And I look forward to meeting Mr. Willard Chi. Okay. All right, last but not least, we got Alicia here somewhere. Where are you? There we go. Okay, let's hear from you, Alicia.
So I would say my parents are definitely my heroes, but just to not be overly repetitive, my biggest hero outside of my family would definitely be my Taekwondo master. He's an like Olympic gold medalist, and he always talks about what it means to be a martial artist and like the respect and leadership and confidence that comes with being a martial artist. Because I mean, like obviously like when people see us, they see us like in the mats like kicking and punching each other, but at the end of the day, like the sport is all about respect and like leadership skills and just being able to have that confidence wherever you go, not just on the mat. So that's something that I'm really thankful for him for.
What is his name?
His name is Master Jae Kyung Kim.
Jae Kim. Okay.
A Korean American,
Okay.
like our parents who immigrated here as well.
Okay. What belt is he? I mean, he's a black belt. I'm sorry. What belt? What belt are you?
I'm a 2nd degree black belt, and he's an 8th degree black belt.
Okay, so everybody take note. Don't mess with Alicia. You'll be getting a flying kick coming your way. No, it's all about respect, though, right? You just know that about yourself. Know that you can throw down if necessary. Okay, so that's your hero. Okay, highlight, hardship.
My highlight this week was actually you, Coach Cho, because honestly, like I didn't really realize this before, but I was talking about this with Zara. I think she's here today too. But last night we were just kind of talking, and we never really felt like we never had like that Asian American teacher that we could relate to, unless we took like a language class. But like still, like it, like we never. I guess like growing up for like the past like 10 years or more of being in this education system, I had never had like an Asian person I could look up to in the district or someone I could talk to and relate to on a personal level. And I have great teachers like at like Oswego High School, like especially like Miss Foster, our club advisor, and like all my other teachers. I really love all of them, but it's just a little different when someone comes from the same background as you. And like we were talking, and like as much as we like love these teachers with different backgrounds, like if something were to happen to us that was like racially motivated, or if we needed someone to talk to, just of someone with a different background, no matter how nice they are, no matter how amazing of a person they are, it's just different to have someone like you, Coach Cho, who we can actually relate to like on a very personal level.
Thank you. Hearing that is the highlight of my week. So I thank you for sharing that. That means a lot. Okay. We should end there, but you know what? Let's talk about that hardship a little bit. Okay, because I think it's all just part of the journey, So thank you for that. But what are some hardships, on the flip side of that you've been experiencing this week or just this year? Just, being a teenage girl in Lake Oswego, what's that like here?
I think one of my biggest hardships now, especially in like online school, is like I think a lot of kids have had like trouble like understanding or like learning certain concepts, and that's like totally normal. I think like probably everyone here has been like really confused in class at least once and like has not known what is going on, or like especially if like you forgot to watch your homework video or something and you're just sitting in class and you're like really confused. I know that's happened to like a lot of people, and I feel like being like an Asian American and with like the model minority myth, and especially because I think before, or I think like people had this perception built about me, like the people who knew me, they were like, oh, like, or like the people who didn't really know me, I guess they'd be like, oh, like she's the smart girl, like, oh, she's like straight, whatever. So whenever like someone's like, I'm confused, and I'm like, yeah, me too, like I don't know what's going on either. They're like, yeah, sure, like sure you don't know what's going on, like
Right.
it feels so much harder for me to just like relate to people, and I feel like that's something that like a lot of Asian American students can relate to. They'd be like, if we say like we don't understand something, they'd be like, no, I'm sure you do. I'm sure you're just like trying to say that to like seem like us, but you're not, or something like that.
That's powerful, and what people may think of giving it to you as a compliment, it becomes a burden, and to carry that, just ask that smart, Asian girl. She knows the formula, or that type of thing. I think people, yeah, again, a conversation like this, that we need to bring up and let people be aware of it. So no, thank you for sharing that. We got through it. That's it. Can we go to the grid view? Who's in charge here? Is it you, Alicia? Are you the producer of this little get together here?
I think this was all a group effort. I think before, if any other like Asian American students would like to speak up about what's going on, or like any of their experiences, or add anything to this conversation, I also think that'd be very valuable if anyone wants to add anything. I know when we were discussing the recent Asian hate crimes, I don't know if I want to expose you or not, Andrew, but I know Andrew Huang brought up something about COVID last year. If you want to share that, Andrew. I thought it would be really important for Coach Cho to hear, especially because it involves the basketball program as
well. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Alicia. So I would say like one of the harder things I've had to go through for the past couple of years now is that I was living in Shanghai, China, and I've lived there for most of my life. So when my dad told me we were going to come to Oregon, that was a huge shock to me. I was like, what is Oregon? So I guess one of the harder things for me has been to like try and find my place in the community, being someone that really, identifies as an Asian American, because I was born in California, and I did live there for some early years, but really like there's like this link that I feel like is missing, because I haven't lived in America for that long. And so I guess that was something that I was struggling with. And then when we started hearing about COVID in the US, before the pandemic happened and everything, I guess one of the kind of tough things, but also something very good came out of it was on my basketball team, we traveled to a school. I can't remember what school this was. It was far away. Yeah, and then some kids started chanting coronavirus. It wasn't anything loud, but I could hear it, and so that was tough for me at first. But when we started playing as a team, I didn't feel like we really gelled together that well. But after that experience, I felt like we all got closer because they stood up for me. And so that was something positive that came out of that. And yeah, I just thought that was worth sharing. I brought it up in our last meeting, and I think it's helpful for this one too.
That's real, isn't it, Andrew? And I think something else happened recently. I don't know if you've been paying attention. Jeremy Lin, who is obviously famous for what he went through with Linsanity, playing for the New York Knicks, and it was a flashpoint moment for like Asian Americans everywhere. And he's trying to make a comeback this year, and he's playing in the G League minor league, trying to make his way back to the league. And there was public news that came out that one of the players, while they were playing, came out and called him a coronavirus, right? And Andrew, I don't know how you saw how Jeremy handled it, but a couple things: he condemned it, he called it out, and then he also used it to pivot to talk about like actually stuff like that he's been dealing with on the basketball court for as long as he's been, an Asian American growing up in California. And so, but the other thing that he did was, he didn't call the person out necessarily, but he went and had a conversation with them. And I think that's where it's hard for you is, we go on the road sometimes, and we are Lake Oswego basketball program. We are, one of the top programs in the state, but also I think I talked about this last time, just, there's a stereotype of who we are that we carry with us. And it makes me proud that, again, we have 50 plus student athletes in our basketball program, but last year we only had 3 Asian Americans, out of the 50, right? And you were one of them. And your American experience is very different from Marcus Lee's Asian American experience, who was born and raised here, right? We're not monolithic. We're not just one story, and yours is so unique. But and for you to come all the way to Oregon and to experience that, right, where you wouldn't have, grown up where you grew up. So I hope for you that we can continue to have this conversation. You have me to lean on, obviously, but that you use this experience. I mean, it's hardship, it's adversity, and how are we gonna use it to speak up so that the next time that happens, we're more prepared. Or next time that happens, Andrew, we don't wait all these months for that to go through. Like, honestly, like, in it, you need to, that's again, I apologize for putting that burden on you for experiencing, but speak up. Say it to an adult, right? So that we can advocate, we can write, we can hold conversations that would educate, right? And let other people know how hurtful that is. So thanks for sharing that, man.
Appreciate that, Coach.
Yep. Got you. Anybody else? Boy, took a turn here. I want to talk more about Deeya's mom's butter chicken, but we're gonna have to wait for another episode for that. We'll have her, Mrs. Arora, come on, Dimple Arora, come on and show us how to make butter chicken, but maybe that for another week.
Oh, I'd just like to add something as well. I know some people were wondering how our teachers have been handling this, like these Asian American hate crimes. And I'd say, like, for the most part, like, my teachers have been like very respectful of us and like just trying to help us. But I'd kind of also like to give a special shout out to Miss Ray, my English teacher. She's not here today, but right after the hate crime happened on whatever day that was, I forget. But the next morning, right when class started, she just, before we got into anything about like how last night went or anything, she just started talking about like how she felt about like the hate crime or like the event that happened, and like how she was like there to support us or anything. And I think that's really important, just to hear that from your teachers, to hear that they, although like they don't have the same background as you, like if we need them, they're willing to talk to us or they're willing to listen to us. And I think that was really important. And especially like how our English teachers, I know they can't put a lot of, like they don't have very much say in the books we read per se, because like of different guidelines and stuff like that, like what the state has mandated, I think. But like I know like my teachers, like they've put time into selecting poems. Like we have a poem of a day, so like for Women's History Month, she made them all like women's poems, or like just selecting like the little things that she can choose, and then like making that about things like this. I think that's really helpful and makes it feel like we're heard and our teachers.
Okay, shout out Miss Ray, and shout out to all the other teachers in our faculty and our principal Rollin. Good to see you here. I think I saw Dr. Dela Cruz on somewhere as well. But for any of the teachers out there, is there anything that you guys would like to share, having heard from these ladies and Andrew? Don't worry, I won't make you do your own hero hardship and highlight exercise. But
yeah, I also know Miss Foster. She's been incredibly supportive of all of us this whole time. And I know, like, especially for like the minority groups in the community, like Miss Foster's always been someone we can go up to. She's always just so supportive of everyone. So also thank you, Miss Foster.
okay.
Thank you. Now I feel like I have to say something. No.
Yes. All right.
No.
Here we go.
No, just I mean, I think everyone has echoed already in the chat how important this conversation is, and how glad we are that this is happening. and that, like Miss Ray in the English department, we're trying to do better and trying to enrich our curriculum, but also that I think what you said, Alicia, about representation is so important, and having Coach Cho and other Asian American teachers and other teachers that represent students is really important. And I know that's something also that I'm glad you acknowledged. And so anyway, thank you for leading this conversation, and we're trying to do better, and hearing you is really important. So thank you for sharing your stories.
Thank you. Okay. Yeah, just we want to be respectful of everyone's time. I think Alicia, you said 11:30 to 12, right? So that was ambitious to tackle all this, but I think what we can maybe do is, and I'll leave it up to you, and we can stay on and just continue this conversation. I think there's so many times the word model minority came up. I think that's something that we can have a conversation about. Yeah, if anybody needs to go, we can excuse them too. But just even for me personally, I see a lot of my friends from all over the globe, all over the country, just showing up today to show support. I think I want to model for you, ladies, that that it is okay to ask for help. I have on the screen here, I see Joseph Smith all the way from East Coast, working with Peace Players International. Hi, Joe. How are you? Good to see you. I know I'm bringing you all out. Barbosa from my good friend from Mozambique, who spent years as a missionary in Africa, serving people, and somebody that I've learned from. And so, for the four of you, it doesn't, again, to know that I carry my heritage, and there's a common bond that we share as Asian Americans here. And I think that is important. But I think it's kind of like what you talked about, just highlighting all the teachers who are standing alongside you, and all the people who reached out to me this week and said that I'm not going through this alone, that they are side by side with me on this. And it's painful. It is because, and this is why I want to make sure your voices are heard. I want to make sure your parents' faces are known and their names are known. It's because, let's be frank, to go through this journey where if you hear the word China virus, or you hear the term Kung flu, and you don't see people standing up and saying something, and we've been saying it, that this is happening to our people, and to be not heard, and to be not heard, and to be not heard, and to be not seen, and saying, no, don't bring the race card. No, don't, it's not for you. You guys are fine. You made it. Look at all the college degrees that you have hanging up in your home offices. For me, the emotions that I felt on Monday was no different than the emotions I felt when I saw George Floyd, because I don't share that ethnic background of being an African American in the United States. But I taught for 6 years in the South Bronx, in Harlem. I spent 3 years in Baltimore. And when that was happening, I could feel their pain, that they, for the parents who were raising their children in a school district that has the fraction of the resources that we have here. And they are advocating for their sons and daughters, and they weren't heard. And so for us as an Asian American group to feel that, for me, like, I didn't experience that until I was 22 years old, fresh out of college at the University of Oregon. It breaks my heart that you young people have to experience it today, and you carry that burden and that trauma with you. But I hope that this gives us a chance when the next time, for me, if an African American brother or sister of mine is mistreated, unjustly, that I can tap into this feeling on a deeper level, and I won't wait. Like, I'll be louder, and I'll stand taller, and I think that's what I think the power of the Asian American community is, I think it's going to be woke in a way. And just to see your courage to share today, and your willingness to share, and your willingness to be vulnerable, and for us to address it, I think what an honor it is for us as teachers and educators to be alongside your journey on that. And you know, I can't wait for it to sit. I think it is a tremendous opportunity we have to be a bridge, a stronger bridge, and just really grateful that the four of you have started this group so that this conversation today could take place. So thank you. I think teachers and everybody else, I think they deserve all the applause. And let's do something with this. So that's all I got. I think I'm hungry. I'm coming over, Deeya. I got my mask. I'm vaccinated. Just leave a Tupperware that I can microwave. Shoot me your address. I'm coming over. Tell your mom she's gonna have to make a fresh batch tonight, and we'll go from there.
Yep, I'd just like to say thank you, or all of us would like to say thank you for all the community members who came out today, and students, especially the ones who weren't Asian but came to here to listen to our experiences. It really means a lot to us. And of course to Mr. Dickinson and Ms. Fisher for spreading the message out to both of the high schools in the district, and all the teachers coming to show and your support for us students, and just everyone here. It just means a lot to us. So thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay. Have a great day, everybody.